SEO presented by NetElixir. I'm Shawn Swaim, Head of SEO here at NetElixir. This week what we wanted to talk about were two major updates that were released by Google. The first of which was the Panda 4.2 update, and the second was the Googlebot cannot access CSS and JavaScript notification that went out to many webmasters. So starting with Panda 4.2, now technically this was last week. It was released on July 18th of 2015. But we wanted to cover it this week just because it was very important because it affected about 2 to 3% of search queries. And it's going to be rolling out over the next couple months, so it's really going to be pretty powerful when all is said and done. Now, what Google has promised is that over time they're going to try to make these updates more live time. So it's a little bit of a disconnect between the SEO community and Google because we're still seeing that we're a little ways off from that, given that it's been about 10 months since the last Panda update. So as we research and figure out who the winners and losers were in this Panda update, especially as it's rolling out over the next couple months, we'll keep you posted. It is still a little bit early, but it is happening and we are starting to see some positive movement. So we'll definitely keep you posted as we discover who the major winners and losers were. Now, the major news from this week was the Googlebot cannot access your CSS and JS files notification. Now, this went out to many webmasters and it caused a bit of alarm in the SEO community. It's worth noting that this is a brand new notification that was released by Google. It's not necessarily that there was something wrong with your website per se, because it's very likely that what Google is notifying you of has existed on your website for a very long time. So we've gotten a lot of questions from our clients asking, what is this? What is this notification? So first and foremost, it is not a penalty. It is not Webmaster Tools letting you know that, hey, Google's going to stop ranking your website. It's not anything like that. It's just a friendly notification that Google can't access all of the files of your website the way that they would prefer to. So to set the stage, essentially if you think of your website like a house, the framework, the studs, the drywall, all the things that hold the house together, that's your HTML. And you start painting the house, making it look pretty, all those types of things, that's your CSS. So it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's what makes a website pretty at the end of the day. And then if you think of the electricity and everything that makes the house move within the house, that's your JS or your JavaScript. So that allows everything to function and interact together. So with that in mind, Google's intent is to render your website as close to how the end user is rendering your website. So Google essentially wants to see your website the same way I see your website, or my colleagues see your website, the way that a human sees your website. So in Google's attempt to do this, they're really starting to also take a look at the mobile rendering of your website. So they really want to make sure that you're delivering the best end user experience as possible, because before they were just kind of looking at code and making assumptions. Now they're taking this next step in making sure that your website is rendering as well as possible. And this applies especially to the mobile rendering of your website. And to me, that's an indicator that we may be on the cusp of the next wave of the mobile Geddon update. So, a way of correcting this and making sure that your website is on par with what Google wants to see, you're going to want to hop into your Search Console or Webmaster Tools, depending on what you want to call it, and then you run the fetch and render test on your website. Now Google is going to come back to you with your results, and it's either going to say it was successful or it was a partial render. More than likely, if you got the notification, you're going to get the partial render. So then what you do is you take a look at the results, and you're going to see either that there are some files that Google can't access, or you're going to see things that are plugins on your website, like a Facebook widget, something along those lines. If it is the Facebook widgets that Google can't get to, go ahead and disregard the notification. Google will eventually put 2 and 2 together that this is a third-party tool, so you do not necessarily have to worry about it because it's something that's out of your control and hosted on another website. But if it is related to files that you are hosting and JavaScript and CSS that you are physically hosting on your website, there's a couple different ways that you can go about fixing this. The first of which is just kind of a catch-all type of approach. It will open up the gates, and it is to add a rule to your robots.txt file. And basically what it does is it says, hey Googlebot, go here, this is my CSS, go here, this is my JS, and it's just a couple simple lines. It is essentially allow.css, allow.js, and that will open up the gates to Google to crawl through your website and see everything related to your CSS and JavaScript. Now, this is, of course, not the 100% right answer for everybody. And reason being is that there are some areas of your website that you genuinely do not want Google crawling. So this is on a case-by-case basis that you have to apply this rule, and you should really be careful because one misstep could lead Google to indexing things that may not necessarily be the best things for Google to catch. So if you have some questions about this, feel free to reach out to us. In the video description below, you're going to see a link that you can get an SEO analysis. We'd be more than happy to take a look at this. Just in the comments field, just mention this video, and we will be more than happy to take a look at this for you and see what we think the fix is, and we'll talk to you about what we can help you with as far as growing your business through organic traffic. And I also want to remind you that August 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern, NetElixir is hosting a webinar, getting your search marketing ready for the holiday season. The topic is around PLAs, so it's going to be a very exciting webinar. So stay tuned for that. There's going to be more details coming out about that. We're also going to have a link below in the description about how you can get registered for that and take part of that as well. So again, I'm Shawn Swaim, Head of SEO here at NetElixir. We hope you enjoyed and found this useful. Again, any questions, get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to see what we can do to help you out.